So Google Forms has a lot of different settings and options for your form. So if we go up to this gear here, that's our settings. We're going to click on that. And the settings are in 3 different categories. So the first one under General is collect email addresses. Now, if you see a check mark in the box, that means that feature is activated. And if there's no check mark, it's not. So it depends what you're using your form for. If you want it to be totally anonymous, then you don't want to collect email addresses. But if you're using this in a classroom and you need to know who each student is and you want their email addresses attached, you can do that. So I'm going to click on it so you can see. You just click right there. Okay, response receipts are that they're going to get notification that their form was turned in. For right now, I'm going to leave that off. The next option is if it requires sign-in. So for your school district, you can restrict it to the people in your school district. If you're using it for a quiz or for your students, that's a good thing to do so that somebody can't fill out this form that's not in your class or not in the Jamesburg School District or whatever school district that you work for. The bad thing about that is if you are using this form and you want parents to fill it out or anyone else, then you don't want to restrict it to Jamesburg School District users because parents don't have a issued email from Jamesburg. Only their children do. So it depends who you want to fill this out. If it's students, I would suggest you leave it on. If not, I would turn it off. You can also limit this form to 1 response. When we're all finished today, I'm going to show you how you share this form. And one of the ways is with a link. Once that link is there and this form is active, the users can come back in and fill out this form as many times as they want, unless you'd say that they can only do it once. So again, it depends what this form is for. If you're going to use it as a quiz for students, you only want to let them do it once because if they go and speak to somebody else and decide they did it wrong, they can come back in and submit another quiz or another form. Sometimes if you're taking a survey or you're voting on something, you want to limit it to 1 response because otherwise people come in and vote as many times as they want and maybe then your results are not accurate. So it depends what you are using this form for if you want to limit it to 1 response or not. Also, you're letting it know if after the user submits this form, can they edit it? So again, if it's a quiz and you don't want them to do that, then you wouldn't let them, you would leave it off that they cannot edit it. If it is for something else, maybe it's a sign-up sheet for what somebody's bringing to a luncheon or something like that, you may want to allow editing because somebody may change their mind and then they want to go in and fix that. And the charts and text, we're going to see that later in Google Sheets. If you make any changes here, you have to hit Save. Even if you go to the next area of settings, you have to hit Save or it won't save. So right now, I didn't make any changes. I'll put a check mark here and I'm going to hit Save. And now to see some of those other settings, I'm going to go back to my setting wheel. And now I'm going to move over to presentation. So the options under presentation is if you want to show a progress bar or not. So sometimes when you are taking a survey or answering questions online, you don't know how long it is and you might start to fill in a few questions and you might think you don't want to do it anymore. Well, if you have a progress bar at the bottom, it will show you if you're halfway done or 3/4 done so that the person filling out the form knows how much longer the form is. So a lot of times that helps when you're using that for purposes of a survey or for some reason that you want somebody to use your form. The next one is good if you're using your form as a quiz and you want to shuffle the question order so that students cannot look over on someone else's screen and have the same question in the same order and be able to cheat. So you could shuffle the question order, which would make it different for each user. So you still have all the same questions, they would just be in a different order. And do you want to show the link to submit another response? Well, if you don't want them to go back in and submit it again, then I would turn it off. But if you do want to have the link on there so that they can go in and you allowed them to edit it, then you're going to have the link so that they can go back in and make their changes. A confirmation message is once they submit their form, something that you want to say. So you can actually customize that here. So for instance, if you are using this for a quiz, you can say thank you for submitting your form. I will grade these next week. Hey, this way the kids don't keep coming up and asking you, did you grade it? Did you grade it? So you can tell them, I'm not grading it even until next week, so don't ask. Or if you're sending this in as a feedback form or a form that's going out to someone other than students, you can just say thank you for submitting your form. We appreciate it, or whatever message you want to give here. Because a lot of times when we submit things online and then we don't get any sort of confirmation, where we wonder, did it go? Is it there? Did they get it? What are they going to do with it? So we can put a little message here to let people know, thank you, I got your form. I'll be looking at it, in the next couple of weeks, or whatever your message is going to be. And then I'm going to hit save. And then the last section under settings is quizzes. So if you are using this as a quiz, you don't have to click this option to make it a quiz, but this will give you some other options. So you can actually make a form with all your different question types and still use it as a quiz. But this option, if you click it, will allow it to be a self-grading quiz if you use these certain question types. So if I do that, now it activated all of these options, which when it was off, were not activated. They're kind of grayed out. So I'm going to put them on. And as my first option, do I want to release the grade? So when I release it, are you going to do it immediately after they submit it, or later after manual review? So if you're not giving them the option to make any changes, you can do that immediately. Maybe you have a quiz and you might give the students some extra points for making corrections. Then you don't want to release it because then they know the correct answers. So then you can put it on later after manual review, after maybe you do a review and give them a chance to get some points back. So again, that's dependent on what you're doing with the actual grade. Some other options here is, can the user see missed questions? That's a good one to have on because we don't want to, have them miss something, because this will let them know. So as they're taking the quiz, if they missed a question and they try to hit submit, it will give them a notification that you missed a question, so go back and fill it in. And so that's a good one to have on. Do we want to show the correct answers? That depends how you're using the form. And do we want point values? There's a place that will allow you to find the points for each question. So if it is a quiz, that's a good idea too. So these things are there. I'm going to click save. Now it's going to bring me out to my form. In the next video, we'll talk about the different types of questions that you can add to the quiz.